Right when I gave up, you showed up. Jesus, there was a time in my life when I never imagined I would say those words with peace in my heart. There was a season when I felt completely empty, not just tired from work, not just stressed from responsibilities, but deeply, spiritually exhausted. The kind of exhaustion that no sleep can fix. The kind that makes you question everything you once believed. I remember nights when I would lie awake, staring into the darkness, whispering your name, Jesus, are you there? I wasn't asking with confidence. I was asking with trembling doubt. My prayers didn't sound powerful. They sounded desperate. Sometimes they were just tears without words. I believed in you. I had heard about your miracles. I knew the stories. I knew how you healed the sick, restored the broken, calmed the storm. But when my own storm refused to calm down, I started wondering if those miracles were meant for everyone except me. Everything around me felt like it was collapsing at once. Doors I prayed would open remained closed. Opportunities I worked hard for disappeared. Relationships I trusted weakened. I felt left behind while others moved forward. I smiled in public, but inside I was fighting silent battles no one could see. Jesus, I kept asking you why. Why the delay? Why the silence? Why the waiting? Heaven felt quiet, and the silence was louder than the noise of my problems. There were moments when doubt became louder than faith. I questioned my worth. I questioned my calling. I questioned whether my prayers were even reaching you. I wondered if I had disappointed you somehow. Maybe I didn't pray enough. Maybe my faith wasn't strong enough. Maybe I wasn't chosen. And the hardest part wasn't the struggle, it was feeling alone in it. I would see others share testimonies about breakthroughs. I would hear people talk about how Jesus answered their prayers quickly. And I would sit there thinking, why not me, Lord? But what I didn't understand back then was this: your silence, Jesus, was not your absence. Just because I couldn't see you moving didn't mean you weren't working. You were working in ways I couldn't recognize. You were preparing things I couldn't yet handle. You were strengthening parts of me that comfort never could. Like a seed buried underground, I was in a hidden season. Nothing visible, nothing impressive, just darkness and pressure, but underneath the surface, roots were forming. Faith was deepening. Character was being shaped. Every delay felt personal. Every, not yet, felt like rejection. I compared my timeline to everyone else's. I felt behind. I felt forgotten. But comparison only stole my peace. I was measuring your plan with human clocks. Then one night, I reached a breaking point. Not dramatic, not loud, just quiet surrender. I remember sitting alone and saying, Jesus, I can't carry this anymore. I don't have strength left. If you don't help me, I don't know what I'll do. It wasn't a perfect prayer. It wasn't filled with scripture. It was raw honesty. And something shifted that night. Not around me, but inside me. A peace I couldn't explain entered my heart. The situation didn't change immediately. The problems didn't disappear by morning. But I felt held. I felt seen. I felt like even in the silence, you were close. That's when I realized something powerful. Sometimes you calm the storm. And sometimes, Jesus, you calm your child in the middle of the storm. Days turned into weeks. I kept walking forward even when progress felt invisible. I kept praying even when answers were delayed. I kept trusting even when emotions tried to convince me otherwise. And slowly, small things started happening. Not huge miracles at first. Just subtle shifts. A conversation that opened a possibility. An unexpected opportunity. A strength inside me that lasted longer than before. Hope returning in small doses. I didn't realize it yet, but you were aligning things behind the scenes. Then one day, when I had almost stopped expecting anything, it happened. The call came. The door opened. The opportunity returned in a better form. Jesus, right when I gave up, you showed up. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic, but it was undeniable, and the timing was perfect. If it had happened earlier, I would not have been ready. My mindset would have sabotaged it. My character would have collapsed under pressure. But the waiting season had matured me. The delay was not punishment. It was preparation. The silence was not rejection. It was protection. Looking back, I see how you were shaping me through every tear. The nights I cried became lessons in dependence. The disappointments became lessons in trust. The loneliness became intimacy with you. Nothing was wasted. Not one prayer, not one tear, not one silent night. Jesus, you were there the whole time. When I felt abandoned, you were sustaining me. When I felt forgotten, you were positioning me. When I felt weak, you were strengthening me. Right when I gave up, you showed up. And now I understand something deeper. You don't always work according to our urgency. You work according to divine timing. And your timing is never late. To anyone listening right now who feels stuck in a silent season, I know that weight. I know how long nights can feel. I know how painful unanswered prayers can be. But please hear this clearly. Jesus has not forgotten you. His silence is not his absence. His delay is not his denial. He is working in places you cannot see. He is preparing blessings your current version cannot yet handle. He is building strength in you that comfort could never produce. Faith grows strongest in darkness. Character is shaped in waiting. Trust is refined in silence. And when your breakthrough comes, and it will, you will look back at this painful chapter and realize it was never wasted. It was necessary. One day you will stand in the middle of answered prayer and remember the nights you almost quit. And with tears of gratitude instead of tears of pain, you will say, Jesus, right when I gave up, you showed up. And this time, those words won't carry exhaustion. They will carry praise. But Jesus, the story didn't end with the breakthrough. Because what you did for me wasn't just about changing my situation, it was about changing me. I started realizing that the greatest miracle wasn't the open door. It wasn't the phone call. It wasn't the opportunity. The greatest miracle was the transformation inside my heart. Before that season, I trusted you when things made sense. After that season, I trusted you even when they didn't. Before that season, my faith depended on visible progress. After that season, my faith depended on who you are. You taught me that your presence is more powerful than any present I could receive. And I began to see something clearly. The waiting season had stripped away everything I was depending on except you. When my plans failed, I learned to lean on you. When people walked away, I learned you never do. When resources ran low, I learned you are my provider. When my strength ended, I discovered yours never does. Jesus, you didn't just answer my prayer. You became my anchor. I remember thinking that if you would just fix my problem, I would finally have peace. But what you showed me is that peace doesn't come from solved problems. It comes from knowing you are in control. There were days during that silent season when I questioned everything. But now I look back and see your fingerprints all over it. The closed doors that frustrated me were actually protecting me. The no that hurt me was redirecting me. The delay that discouraged me was positioning me. You were never inactive. You were intentional. And sometimes, Jesus, we beg you to hurry. Not realizing that rushing the process would ruin the promise. I've learned that growth is uncomfortable. Pruning is painful. Waiting stretches the soul. But every season has purpose. Even the one that makes you cry. There's someone listening right now who feels like giving up. Someone who prayed and saw nothing change. Someone who trusted and felt disappointed. Someone who worshipped and still feels stuck. If that's you, let me tell you something from experience. Right when I thought I couldn't take another step, Jesus carried me. Right when I felt unseen, he proved he was watching. Right when I released control, he demonstrated his. Sometimes we think surrender means losing. But surrender is where miracles begin. Because surrender says, Jesus, I trust your will more than my timeline. And when you reach that place, when your heart says, even if it takes longer, I still trust you, something powerful happens. Fear loses its grip. Anxiety weakens. Peace settles in. I used to think faith meant having no doubts. Now I know faith means choosing to trust Jesus even while doubts whisper. Faith says, I don't understand, but I believe. Faith says, I can't see it yet, but I know you're working. Faith says, even in silence, you are faithful. Jesus, you taught me that breakthrough is not always loud. Sometimes it's quiet confidence. Sometimes it's strength to endure. Sometimes it's courage to try again. And when the visible breakthrough finally came, it was sweeter because of the waiting. It was deeper because of the struggle. It was meaningful because of the process. If it had come earlier, I would have celebrated the blessing. Because it came later, I celebrated the blesser. Now when I face new challenges, I don't panic the way I used to. I remember what you already brought me through. I remember the nights I thought wouldn't end, and they did. I remember the doors I thought would never open, and they did. Your faithfulness in the past gives me courage for the future. And that's the testimony. Not that life became perfect. Not that problems disappeared forever. But that Jesus proved faithful. There will be more waiting seasons. There will be more questions. There will be more moments when heaven feels quiet. But now I know, silence is not abandonment. Sometimes silence is strategy. Jesus works in ways we cannot trace. While we see delay, he sees development. While we see emptiness, he sees preparation. While we see an ending, he sees alignment. And if you're in that silent place right now, don't quit. Don't walk away from the very process that is building you. The enemy wants you to believe the silence means God is done. But sometimes the silence means God is about to do something greater than you imagined. Right when I gave up, you showed up. And maybe that's where your miracle begins too. Maybe your breakthrough isn't waiting for more effort. Maybe it's waiting for surrender. Maybe the moment you stop forcing and start trusting is the moment things shift. Jesus specializes in stepping in at the last moment. He turns graves into gardens. He turns crosses into resurrection stories. He turns endings into beginnings. So if you feel like you're at the end, take heart. Endings are often the birthplace of miracles. I don't know what you're praying for. I don't know what door you're waiting to open. I don't know what battle you're fighting in silence. But I know this, Jesus sees it. He sees the tears you hide. He hears the prayers you whisper. He understands the fear you don't tell anyone about. And he is not indifferent. He is working, even now, even in the quiet, even when you can't feel it. One day you will look back and connect the dots. You will see how every disappointment redirected you. Every delay matured you. Every heartbreak deepened you. And you will realize that nothing was random. It was orchestrated. You were being shaped for something greater than comfort, something eternal. And when that day comes, when clarity replaces confusion and praise replaces panic, you will lift your eyes and say with confidence, Jesus, right when I gave up, you showed up. Those words will not carry frustration. They will carry worship, because you will understand that he was never late. He was precise. He was faithful. He was present. And he still is. So hold on. Pray again. Trust deeper. Wait faithfully. Because the same Jesus who stepped in for me is the same Jesus who is working for you. And right when you feel like giving up, he will show up.